All right. Well, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. Open up your pill bottles. It's time to take your daily dose.
Of course.
We have a special guest with us today. Hello, Gabi Walden.
Hello.
As always, I'm Cameron Lindley Robinson.
I'm Taja Seafus.
Gabi is a talented musician, an artist, and an amazing person. And do you just want to give a little introduction to who you are really quick?
Goodness. Yeah, I'm an artist that's living in North Carolina in Winston-Salem.
Nice.
And I play guitar, and I record audio, and I design spaces, and yeah, I'm a master of none, but jack of all trades, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm originally from Miami, but I moved up here about 6-7 years ago, and met some lovely folks like y'all, and yeah, ever since then I've been settling down in the Carolinas. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're very, very happy to have you today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. This podcast, just a disclaimer, I guess, is coming out a little later than we were originally anticipating. We faced some sickness on several people's parts. The universe just told us that we needed a break.
Yeah.
And so we took that break. And, you know, in the practice of staying as up-to-date as we can on events and things like that, we record like the week before we're posting, so it kind of pushed us back a little bit, but it's gonna be fine. As always, again, we're gonna do some zines. We're gonna continue on the zines that we started last week, and Gabi is going to create a contribution as well.
I'm excited. Can I see some of the zines you guys created last week?
So this is where mine's at right now. It's a bear.
I love it.
And then I think that my goal is going to be to make something happen in here. It's a little all over the place.
Sure. I like the room.
Thank you, Taja.
And I got a lot going on.
Ooh.
I got, what is this, Bionic Superman, crushing racism.
I love it.
And then this is just the inside.
Oh, that's pretty.
Right now.
That's pretty.
Langston's is pretty cool.
Yeah, Langston's is
I want to see Langston's.
Little fish.
What do we got? What did we say this was? Two
A
babies
picnic?
holding...
Two babies holding a Cadillac.
Yeah, two babies holding a Cadillac. It's these guys holding Santa.
I like it.
And then, who did we say this was?
That's Zach. It's a vibe he gives us.
Fedora, though, yes.
Yes. The fedora.
I would love to investigate this beautiful work. This is awesome. Oh, the gnome.
But yeah, so we're doing it in a like collage way.
I see.
Ooh, there's some extras that flew out of there. Ooh.
Wow.
Nice. But yeah, you can just grab a magazine.
Oh my god.
There's no theme really.
I got
just
Superman over here.
Yeah.
And some optical illusions. So.
Yeah, we're just gonna ask you some questions, Gabi.
Cool. Pardon my brain, but yeah, cope with me.
So I guess the first question, we have like four core questions that we kind of have crafted that we think are important to the podcast for all of our guests. So what brought you to art?
Well, I come from a family of artists.
Nice.
And so I think that was definitely something that I grew up around and was encouraged to continue to pursue when I was initially interested as a kid in playing guitar and bringing out the synthesizer and playing chords. I had no idea what they were, but it sounded fun. And I think my parents saw that, so they you know, I was grateful as an only child to be supported with music and gear and access to that in my life. So yeah, since like I was young, there was definitely always music present in my environment, and music always playing in the house, and you know, that's definitely something that I think inspired me to initially start playing jazz when I was a little, 7-8-year-old. But yeah, I've always been interested in art, and then I realized in high school, I was like, okay, you gotta study something.
You're like, where are you?
Hey, all right, we gotta live, make function in society. And so it kind of came down to me deciding whether or not to study music or film.
Yeah.
And let's just say I'm a little dyslexic, so sight reading was not my forte, but I could comp, like I know the piece at the back of your hand, just give me a day to learn it. I ended up not studying music. I ended up checking out UNCSA. and ended up studying here for 4 years and got a BFA in film. And during that time, I of course ended up exploring more arts, and drama and dance and immersive and theater and playing music in bands. And so now I'm here doing the same thing. But I'd always been kind of exposed to the arts as a young person, so I think that definitely was a privilege to have access to.
Yeah.
And so, what brought you to film then specifically? Because then you talked about your
Young Arts did. Young Arts brought me to film. I wrote this song when I was 15 years old called "Ways to You," and I wrote it about this guy who I had a big crush on. He broke my heart, and yeah. So what else is a teenage girl gonna do?
Yeah.
You write a song about it, and it was actually pretty catchy. And so I don't know. I got my first iTouch, and I had a camera on it. A throwback, right?
I know.
I'm aging myself.
Sorry, I need to do that. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah, and I just went down to the park. I'm from Miami, and so we lived by the bay, and there's always these banyan trees that I loved meditating in after class when I get home from school. And so I just started bringing my camera down to these spots that I discovered, and just grabbing images of the places that kind of I really know intimately in the city. And then I just decided to mess around with iMovie one day and put together some of those clips from my iTouch and synced it up to the song that I wrote. And then, just for giggles, I sent it in to Young Arts, which is, an international foundation that provides a workshop and other, financial opportunities for young people that want to pursue the arts. And my music video for my song got into Young Arts for that year. And so I was offered the opportunity to work with other filmmakers that were from D.C. and New York and New Orleans. And that really shifted my perspective because it was the first time I was around professional, artists and gear.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have access to that. And I fell in love with the craft of directing and holding a camera, and I loved editing. And so that was my junior year. And then I decided to let the bug bite me, and I got into film. It was definitely a conversation with the family, like, are you sure you want to get into this industry? Or do you understand the implications there? And while I thought I did, I still was very much so in love with the idea of using film and the studies there as a vehicle to meet other artists that, weren't solely in one discipline.
So, I mean, you've kind of answered this question. The next one is, what is your chosen craft? And it sounds like it's kind of for all of them.
I feel like because I studied film, I put music on the back burner. I don't know, I just feel like there was something that I would always love about playing music and playing guitar and rhythm section. But I definitely felt like, going to a conservatory for film meant that I wasn't necessarily becoming a professional musician or going into that route.
Yeah.
So, wait, can you bring me back to your question? My brain.
What is your chosen?
Definitely music. Music is my, OG.
Yeah.
The OG.
Music is
your first love.
My first love, no doubt. She will always be my first love. That's the most organic craft that I find that I express myself with.
Yeah.
But it does fluctuate, especially, I think, at the time that I moved up here and I started to study film and have, other filmmakers and people that were into sound and music as well, that allowed me to, I guess, translate my love of making music into recording arts and sound. And, this is how I met our engineer with us today, Langston, is, we both are part of the artist community with filmmakers, and we both are interested in music. And, having that sort of community was really helpful in not losing my love of my main craft, but instead seeing where there's other ways of expressing storytelling and, channeling that sort of, I guess, like a high, I guess,
That's very real. So what are your ambitions as an artist?
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
That's a fun one, right?
Oh, it's a fun one and a big one.
They get more fun.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. How do you define fun? That's like...
How do you define fun?
That is such a...
It's a big question.
It's a big question.
And you also don't have to know, and that's okay.
Truthfully, I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
I think definitely going through a lot of shifts and changes in my life.
For sure.
As we all are at this age and
Yes.
time. And I honestly, that's been a theme for the past 12 months for me. It's just what exactly are my ambitions, like what are those goals, those dreams. I've been feeding, little Gabs, like the kid in me, that the 11-year-old that just like played her big Yamaha Dreadnought acoustic guitar, listening to Tegan and Sarah and Paramore and CD, and being like, oh, like, look at these.
Love you, Gabi.
And Paramore CD.
That was joy. And I think now, ironically, at my quarter life, when I had spent a lot of time not focusing professionally on music, I feel like a kid again. I guess a dream for me as a kid was to play on tour with a band, and write an album and meet other musicians. And I don't know, I did the whole Vans Warped Tour thing, and I those are definitely fun images in my mind. I think now I still would love to do that. I mean, goodness gracious. But, there's definitely other things that I'm opening myself up to at this point in my life, and I would like to. Honestly, I just want to be. My ambition is to be happy and to be in a community of artists.
Yeah.
That is real.
Right? And to have a safe space where I can create the work that I want to be and also help facilitate and empower other people.
Yes.
Like family in that sense. So I would love to travel. I have values of obviously my community. But my ambition, I think, is to ask myself every day, what is it that, makes you happy? How can you better? What are you leaving behind, in the world?
Yeah.
And it can be something as simple as just helping somebody make their story come true.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I can't give you one monosyllabic answer, but
And I think that's like, probably for the best.
Yeah.
Especially like where you are in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like you probably, I don't know, I feel like an experience that I had from like childhood into adulthood into like college into graduating college was I keep feeling like I've figured things out and I know what I want, and then as soon as I do, everything changes. And I'm like, I don't want this actually.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, and now I have to figure out something else.
Totally.
Like my new ambition. And
Right.
It's like a constant, because things change, and also like sometimes when you get what you want, it's not what you think it's gonna be.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I feel like all good things. What is it? The good don't go unpunished, right? Which is the irony. And also just good things always come with, that sort of baggage. I feel nothing that beautiful comes naturally. But I think actually that's not true too, because then I think there's also those moments of gratitude that make the hard work worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really like a great segue into what I think is like the core question of this podcast. I mean, really,
It
that's kind of
is.
why we wanted to start it, to begin the conversation of how has art influenced your mental health, or vice versa, how has mental health influenced your art? What is the conversation around that?
That's a great question. I think, well, I mean, art has always been a happiness for me. And I think, like I said earlier, the dynamic that I had studying in college at a conservatory was not easy, but I found that I treated music like an affair or like procrastination, which in my brain meant that I was having fun and I'm like playing with toys, Yeah. It was not a task, it wasn't a job, it was just playtime. And so that for my mental health has always been like a respite. And like I said, at this point in my life, I'm also redefining what it is that I'm trying to create, or what's that time spent to create things. And so now it's almost freeing. It's like, oh, I don't have to feel guilty about this.
Yeah.
This is actually productive. This is healthy. And yeah, again, I think some of my values just as a person is I like to feel like I'm a collaborator and part of a community. And so serving our community in ways that I think also we have in some projects in the past, right, where be it your space, your time, your work, having that sort of coming together and sharing of ideas in that safe space again, that makes me cry, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it's really, really about. And I think, it's good for my head. I think also it's easy to get wrapped up in the idea of what you think you want to be creating as an artist, which can be super detrimental.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a friend of mine who's a drummer who imparted some really great advice to me, and he said, you know, if you're playing to try and sound good, you're never gonna have fun, and you might even sound worse than when you're trying to do.
Yeah.
But the musicians that are truly just having fun, even if they're playing the wrong chords, sound better.
They do.
And you know, that's where good music comes from. Is I think seeing that pleasure and feeling it, and so. Like, again, going back to it not being about having to sound perfect or making something, this is exactly what I want it to be. It's just letting go and letting it flow out of you and enjoying the sounds themselves, or the people that you're playing with. That's where the joy is. I mean, really.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but for me, when I was in college, I found that my love of film was just completely tainted and ruined and disillusioned because the curtain was pulled back. Like, all of Oz was now just butt naked, warts and all.
Yeah.
Right? Ugly and the pretty.
Yeah.
And somewhere in between. And now I can't watch films without, not consciously picking it apart and looking at the elements and the devices and the themes, like literature, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You can't crack the nut open. You're watching it, and it's this, I don't know if it's pessimistic or macabre, right? But it's just, that is a love language of just taking somebody else's work and being like, okay, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
I totally see why you're doing that.
Well, and that's something that I appreciate so much in, like, the films that I love and the things that interest me, or just in art in general, because I don't necessarily care about liking art. Like, that's a weird thing to say.
Oh,
But
like art.
I am more interested if, like, someone has made a choice that makes me think about, like, what it is that you're doing, even if ultimately I don't like that choice.
Right.
I still, like, mad respect, you know? Like, you made a choice, and because of that, you made me think, and maybe the point of that choice wasn't for me to like it.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
You're making me think of Nathan For You, and like his
I
stuff with the
love-
rehearsal is definitely questionable, and I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable watching it, but that means he's doing exactly what he wanted to do.
We
Yeah.
have a conversation
Oh, we
about
will have a
because
conversation about this.
That show and, like, everything that he does, I'm like, is this real?
Is this real?
Is this ethical? Is, like I've all, but also
How is he getting away with this, right?
But also the uncomfortableness. That's one of those things about art that, like film and TV. I'll stop my soapbox quickly, but, like, film and TV in particular that makes you uncomfortable is my favorite kind of, like, thing. That's my fave. Like, Fleabag is my favorite show of all time.
Yes.
The Office, like, the episodes that people hate of The Office are the ones that I love the most.
Right.
Like, Dinner Party, Scott's,
Because they're terrible, but it's great.
because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my, Nathan For You is all that. It's just so.
Just 'cause he's-
ugh.
He's always rocker, you know, like, but not, I can't tell. The fact that me and you, again, that people that tend to dissect work still can't figure it out, that's why I think I like it.
Yeah, me too.
Or it intrigues me to some extent.
Me too.
But he gets away with it. I mean, and that's especially with, I think, his last piece with the rehearsals, like, that is such a talk back to, I think, the money that goes into bigger shows, like, for example,
Right.
Game of Thrones, right, which is all, like, supposedly story based, and that they build these grand, like, huge, massive sets, and so I think he has this questionable but very simple concept that is using HBO's money to just create this massive, grandiose, like, immersive space.
It's insane.
It's a comment for sure. I think that there's a lot going on there, but he's an example of an artist that definitely makes people uncomfortable
Oh yeah.
and does it in a
Like,
good way.
That's his MO.
That's his spiel, right?
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
How's everyone's zines coming along? I'm
They're
like
coming.
sneaking a peek at yours, Gabby, and it looks absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Optical
How are your guys'
illusion.
going?
Pretty good. I finished my center,
Wow.
and then now we're just.
Okay, Taj.
It does. It does make us.
Mine feels all over the place.
And that's okay.
I like that.
Every time I create something, it feels insane. I don't know what that says about me, other than that I'm insane. I'm always curious about this, because I'm, like, new to Winston.
Yeah.
I'm still figuring Winston out. What brought you to Winston, and why are you still here?
That's a good question too. All these are great questions. I ask myself that question every day, honestly.
I'm screaming.
Yeah, straight up. I
Why are we here?
studied here, and then I graduated in 2019. I actually graduated with Taja.
Hey.
And, you know, we got lucky, and I think I went back home to Miami post-grad in 2019, and I worked there for about 7-8 months, and I started to get, you know, my foot in the door with the queer documentary and, you know, more of the inner city and local based films, you know, like I was starting to do what I wanted to do. And then in March, the pandemic hit and everything that I worked on was shut down.
Yeah.
As you can tell, it was really bad in South Florida.
Yeah.
And so I also kind of came up on a clock personally for myself when I knew I need to, you know, move out and get a place myself. It's a year past post-grad, and Miami was not going to be the place that I could affordably do that.
Yeah.
And so I moved back up here with my partner at the time and started working again in the arts. And you know, reconnected with some of the alum that I love deeply that are my family up here. And yeah, like I said, this past year has been definitely a solidification of Winston for me as a home in a lot of ways. Because quite frankly, I was going to move, and I decided to stay. And I think there was a lot of debate internally in terms of why I'm here still.
Yeah.
It revealed itself to me, the answer to that, I think, over time, and in again the access to the works that I've been able to be a part of up here and the people. I'm from a city. I feel very comfortable here in Winston, and I feel like there's a lot of value here and a lot of control or you know, the ability to design the work you want to be.
Yeah.
So that's my short answer. Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
It's a very real thing. And it's hard to explain. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's a feeling in my chest that something important is here.
Totally.
But I couldn't tell you what it is.
Totally. And also learning about its past is interesting. Hearing from people that have known this place pretty well. Outside of the bubble of having gone to a conservatory here, like, it's not just about that experience, but knowing the geography of the city too, so it kind of makes it feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, I kind of get the demographics of where people are.
Yeah.
But Winston is definitely interesting. She's got something cooking potentially.
Got something cooking.
Always.
Because before, with the whole mural situation with the CrossFit gym, and I was like, here we go. It's not moving in the right direction. But then the Happy Hill situation, which
what happened?
Now moving into a better direction. What the issue was that they were selling that land for the
right.
art
I saw this
space
in the
school.
news. Yeah.
And everybody was like, please, for the love of God, do something useful with this. Like, do not expand a charter school.
Oh,
like,
this is with the art space school. Gotcha.
Like, do not expand a charter school, but make affordable housing. And then
totally,
whoever's in charge of the art space school was like, we're not taking it. And it'll be used for affordable housing. Like, we're not buying this land anymore. And so now
they're not anymore.
So now it will be used for affordable housing. We hope. That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
But sometimes they decide they want to do whatever they want. So
that's a whole other thing. Like, I find that I prefer or end up gravitating towards works, especially in film, like with documentary work, that discuss commentary within communities and cities. In Miami, I did a lot of that with the water levels rising and a lot of Little Havana and Little Haiti being turned over and made prohibitively expensive. Where people that have been living there for generations can't afford it anymore because of the value around them. I mean, obviously the cleavages in Miami are very different than up here economically, but there's still the same issues, the same voices, right? And then I'm up here, and initially, like I said, when I first moved back here during the pandemic, I worked a lot in non-for-profit and documentary work discussing the issues that come with cleavages between Ronaldo Road and University Parkway in, East Salem.
Okay. That's interesting to me because I feel like you both kind of have a similar, like, you love Winston because you want to make it better. Like,
yeah,
definitely.
You see the potential for, like, bettering it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Because, and again, Winston-Salem is 40% African-American people.
Yes, it is.
But anywhere that I go, I feel like I'm the only person in the room. And
totally.
I'm like, so where what is happening?
Right.
I'm like, this
Yeah.
is not okay. I'm like, if nearly half the town is African American people,
Right.
then what are you doing?
Right. Right.
Which is not providing those outlets and
Just spaces again, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
It's just like, how do you do that?
You do that by immersing yourself in the community and talking to people.
Yeah.
And finding ways to bring money and, food or education or whatever it may be, even if it's something that's like an event that brings people together, that gives them a respite, a safe space,
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the live music scene in North Carolina?
It's interesting. I think there's I didn't expect there to be a scene here because I didn't know about it for a while.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a scene of artists, musicians per se, here that are doing things and making really, really cool work. And, I assume because of the North, and again, being from South Florida, that up here is mostly just folk and country and twang, which there is a lot of really beautiful
So interesting.
and talented songwriters, that create that.
Yeah.
But getting to, especially this year, getting exposed to more of the R&B and rap and hip hop and jazz scene here. I mean, it is abundant. There's definitely spaces for that I did not know were here. And so I honestly have to say I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I feel because in South Florida I did a lot of work with jazz musicians and rappers, and getting to see that here is different. It's a different breed. It's a different animal, but it's absolutely so important to be a part of. And I'm grateful to have had the opportunity. We have people that we know that host spaces and know of events or venues that have, a place to play music.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. Yeah, that's, I think, something about the scene here is the sense of community. Like, everybody plays with each other. Everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And that's special. Also, just showing up to events and festivals, and, like, there's just a huge variety of sounds. It's just good, yeah. I didn't expect to find that here, and I'm glad that there's definitely, obviously, an abundance of creators here. And also those that are kind of in the background creating stuff, and like our friend Spencer, like, he spins, and he blows my mind with his taste and intellect with music, but
Yes.
he's one of those characters that's always at a show, always at an event.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
always.
He's always there, like, and knows everybody, and you always have those.
And knows everybody.
Right?
That's the key.
Those powerhouses, of people that are just lovely human beings, but also really, really supportive of the community and are, in a sense, a face and ambassador for that. Yeah, and it's again going back. Why I'm in Winston-Salem is because of these people, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, all of that being said, folks, get out and do it,
Yeah.
Go to that local musician who's playing at the bar down the street. Like, do that stuff because it's so rewarding and it's so fun. And you'll start to see the same people over and over again. And then you'll know them and you'll, like, it's fun.
It's all part of it's one big family.
Taja has some stuff she wants to share.
I do.
Show us.
Today. I've been doing a lot of research on the brain. Okay. The brain's a very complex organ, if you didn't know. But I was trying to look up things in terms of the brain and music and how it affects it. So the brain, if you were to think, one, the whole left brain and right brain thing is kind of a myth. That's not really like your left brain is more like,
Right, creative.
and then right, but that's not really a real thing because music and the brain hits a lot of different points.
Yes.
So I'm going to get into these points. Okay. So the auditory cortex is mainly part of the temporal lobe at each side of the brain, slightly above the ears. The brain cells in this area are organized by sound frequencies, with some responding to high and some responding to low. It analyzes information from the music, such as the volume, pitch, speed, melody, and rhythm. Keep that in mind. So it's like literally above your ears.
Yeah, it's a great.
Which makes sense.
That's also interesting that it, like, certain parts respond to the frequency and, like, the high versus low. That's kind of interesting. Like, that's separate parts of the brain. Is that what that is saying?
Yeah.
Whoa.
It hits different parts. Anyways.
Whoa.
And then next is the cerebrum. The front gyrus is located in the cerebrum, which is the largest part of the brain and located at the top and front of the head. This area is where memories are recalled to remember music lyrics and sounds when they are heard or sung. And then the dorsolateral frontal cortex is stimulated when hearing music to keep the song in working memory and brings up images that are associated with the sounds and to visualize the music when playing it. And the motor cortex helps control body movements when playing an instrument by processing visual and sound cues. So you got above the ears, and you got the front of your brain, which is just recalling lyrics, how to play it.
Right.
That's like yeah.
If you watch a music video with it, then it's kind of just absorbing it at the same time.
Sure.
It's a little bit insane. So the cerebellum is located in the back of the brain, and it's the second largest part of the brain, and it is key to controlling reflex actions, balance, rhythm, and coordinating skeletal movement, which is just dancing. But that's just fancy for saying dancing. It works in harmony with other parts of the brain to create rhythmic movement in the body when moving in response to music. Never mind. I feel like it's just the whole brain at this point.
Yeah,
in terms of
so many
what,
things
how
going
much is
on,
happening.
Right.
And then lastly, the limbic system, which is composed of several interlocking parts that lay deep inside the brain. This part reacts emotionally to music, giving listeners chills, joy, sadness, excitement, pleasure, etc.
Yeah.
And then the ventral tegmental area is stimulated by music, just as food, sex, and drugs are.
Totally.
And then I'm gonna butcher this word.
Go for it.
Because I hate when they put like a G in between. I hate English. Anyways, I'm going to say the amygdala of this system.
Amygdala.
Yeah.
Amygdala.
I hate G's. Anyways, the amygdala of the system is typically linked to negative emotions, but inhibited when listening to music. So when you listen to music,
say that again?
Yeah, repeat that
the
statement.
amygdala of this system is typically linked to negative emotions, but inhibited when listening to music. So it shuts it off. So any fear that you have when you listen to music,
preoccupied with thinking about right.
Like it turns off. So you have like no fear.
I know,
right? Music is just very powerful to the brain, if you're wondering.
It is.
So, in one of the articles that I read, they did a study on a woman who lost some functional connections in her brain. And so when she listened to music, she would have the feeling effects, but not understand the music itself, which is insane. Because again, music hits so many parts of the brain. But it's the fact that if you listen to a song and it makes you feel sad, she could feel the sadness in the song.
Oh, yeah.
But she could not comprehend what the music was doing.
Wait, what do you mean she couldn't comprehend what the music
Like, you couldn't comprehend the lyrics or, like, the rhythms or the melodies.
But it's still a feeling
you're getting, but you can still
Okay.
feel it, though.
Yeah.
Which is weird and insane to think about.
Yeah.
To, like, lose that connection.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, you're like, oh, this feels great. But you're like, I have no idea what's going on.
Well, yeah, why?
You're like, but why does this feel great? And so I started researching musical therapy. Music therapy is a real thing. And they have used music to combat Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. The epilepsy thing is cool.
Crazy cool.
With epilepsy, there are certain frequencies that you can play when someone is sleeping to prevent having seizures.
Whoa.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, wow, you don't even need drugs. But again, music stimulates the same part of the brain that drugs do.
It does,
so it
totally.
makes sense. It makes sense.
Take your drugs.
you're like, take the meds. Okay, don't start listening to music.
Daily dose. So pop up in that pill bottle.
Pop up in that pill bottle.
And take your daily dose.
Take your
That's
meds.
been prescribed to you.
Via this podcast, right? That's believable and also extremely impressive.
Yeah. But music in the brain is connected to a lot of parts that have to do with memory. So visually and physically, from these articles, stimulating your brain with music you love boosts your mood and serotonin levels, of course, but it goes way deeper than that. So certain people like certain types of music because it hits their brain just right, but listening to the same music over and over again can cause you to have a harder time remembering things.
Stop,
that explains a lot.
Yes. So if you need to stimulate your brain by listening to something you don't normally listen to, like you're giving your brain a workout. And to be fair, I love listening to the same music that I love.
Right,
I
me
love all my
too.
playlists.
Yeah.
And as soon as I switch and I'm like, oh, let me listen to something else, I'm like, I hate this.
Yeah.
But I
Right.
force myself to because I'm like, it's going to get better.
But then once you listen to it over like enough times, then you start to like it.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, oh, this is great.
Like, oh, I actually like this.
So stimulate your brain by listening to something that you don't normally listen to. because if not,
That's what I'm doing
But it
right
can
now.
improve memory.
it can. I have a terrible memory.
I know.
So listening, you're like, I know. I listen to the same songs over and over again because
I fall into that trap as well.
yeah, 'cause it just feels good. You're
Yeah,
like,
it does.
Like I have so many memories associated with this. Like
I love forgetting about songs, and then you remember, and then suddenly at that point in your life, like all the smells
Oh,
and
yeah.
tastes come back from that point. And you're like,
I'm like,
I forgot. Wait, all these things happened.
But of course, music therapy is used to help Alzheimer patients to trigger memories, and some patients even transport themselves back exactly to where that memory is
Whoa.
by music, and they stay in it for at least a few minutes,
that's incredible.
which is insane to me. Also, for Parkinson's and cerebral palsy, there are certain rhythms in music
Yes.
that can trigger your brain to enhance movement.
Really?
Yes, and so they use that as well as a method to enhance movement. But they're now looking for ways for not only depression and mental health, but also autism as well, and how
Yes.
music can help
I mean, that makes sense.
with that. But I have a few questions.
Yeah.
So what is one song that you can recall a memory from?
A song.
Oh, there's too many.
And if there's multiple, then that's okay. But also if there's a certain artist, you know?
My family lives 800 miles away, so whenever I'm home, I try and play an album that I play every time I'm in Miami. There's two. One is Antonio Carlos Jobim's Stoneflower. And the other one is Toots Tillman's The Brazil Project, which is just, I don't know why,
Yeah.
but the sound of that is embedded in like 2-3-year-old Gabi
Yeah.
brain, you know, crawling around the tile floors, hanging out with my grandma and my mom and the family. But whenever I play it in the house, I don't feel like I live alone. You know, I kind of feel like I'm back home, and the smell, the feeling just feels comforting. But they're both jazz albums that kind of border on the Portuguese sort of Brazilian jazz, slower, symphonic, larger sound. Stoneflower is my go-to neurological.
Yeah.
like,
That is great.
that is my reset album.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it goes back that far, because I
Oh,
can't go back that far. What is yours? What is
Yeah. What about you guys?
I guess the one that I immediately thought of is the name of the song 7 Years by Nora Jones?
Oh.
You know is that the name of the song? Yeah, that. When I was a kid, my mom loves Nora Jones, and she would always tell me that song was written about me.
Aww.
And I always thought that I just believed
My
it.
mom told me that too.
Okay.
Aww.
No, but like, I mean, I think that it kind of lends itself to that, right?
It's a love song to your daughter.
Yeah.
Right.
My mom literally would be like, this song was written about you. I remember having a fight with one of my cousins who was like, that song was not written about you. And I was like, yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
I was like, can you not hear it? That's totally me.
It's about me. Nora Jones recorded it for
laughing
me.
and whatever.
Oh.
To my favorite song. I love that album.
Oh my goodness, that was a great song. Yeah, haunting.
What's yours, Taja?
It's hard. I don't really have
It's
like a
really
specific
hard. I know.
artist, but like as of right now, 80s and 90s, hip hop and R&B, and then early 2000s, whatever happened then in terms of genres of music, which is a little bit chaotic. But anytime, like one that I can get right from now, "Unbreak My Heart" by Toni Braxton. Is that her?
I think so.
It's not even like a heartfelt memory. It's just a thing embedded in my brain of every time I was in the car in high school with my friend Byron, he would always put on that song and he would just have a whole like 5-minute like performance while I'm driving.
Yes.
But it's also while I'm driving.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
funny, but he was like grabbing onto me and like, doing all that, and I'm just like,
You're like, I am.
I'm like, all right, like I'm sitting there like,
Operate vehicle, right? Yeah.
but it was chaotic. But yeah,
Aw.
but like 80s hip hop and 90s hip hop and R&B,
Slaps.
literally like my
Slaps,
mom.
yeah.
Like I'm just like, yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Some good stuff there. Mario, love that.
There's so much like.
Neo, listen.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Closer. Come closer.
Okay, the next question is, what is a genre that you don't listen to that you will give a try after this to stimulate your brain for memory reasons?
I mentioned it kind of. I don't listen to a lot of like heavy metal
Yeah.
music. think of genres of music.
Like, I don't really listen to country.
I don't listen to modern country at all.
Modern country. Was that different?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up listening to, like, Merle Haggard and
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Nelson's that name?
Yeah.
Why did that just happen to me? Like, well, my bucket's got a hole in it, like all that.
Yeah.
That's like a very different kind of country than I feel like what
I'm
is
talking about your
popular.
pickup and yeah.
Pickup drip.
But I think modern country is more like pop rock.
Definitely.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Dolly Parton.
Dolly.
I love Dolly Parton.
Okay, yeah, Dolly is, yeah.
I don't listen to a lot of, like, music created specifically to dance to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm just, like, at home.
Music. I love.
I know you do.
I don't dance, but I love dance music.
I don't, like, if I'm, like, just in my car, I'm not going to put that on ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I bump that stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'd chair dance for sure, but I don't, like, dance in a club, even though I probably should with you guys at some point.
As long as I can bring my cat with me.
I don't know, Gabby, what kind of music, is there, like, a genre that you don't really listen to?
I am proactively trying to listen to things that I wouldn't necessarily like, or not fond of, and then give it a, like food, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it a taste. If I don't like it, I'll give it another taste.
Yeah.
And then maybe I don't have to listen to it again, but I can go back in a couple years and see if that changes. And yeah, I do have moments where it's maddening, where it's like you're trying to find something new, and it all kind of seems together. But I think lately, I think there's some really beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go out of my way to turn on the country station,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely have been. It's similar to you. I like heavy music, but I wasn't ever really into like screamo and you know that core.
Yeah. I just have never even, I don't have any experience with it
Sure,
at all.
sure. It's almost like you're playing a character from it.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Putting yourself in the person's shoes, that is really into that. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a genre I particularly whoopapoo, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been recently revisiting a lot of punk and grunge and death
Yeah.
metal. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I definitely listen to a lot of dance music. I do.
I know.
I listen to a lot of dance music, and I have a fear of dancing. Don't know why.
See,
Really?
I love
Because and then
dancing.
that's kind of the same.
See, I think this is why, like, when I get so distracted in your house, because you'll have dance music playing, and if there's music playing, especially music that's created to be danced to,
Right.
I can't not dance.
It's like-
and so I'm constantly just like, I'm listening to you, but I'm dancing.
But I'm,
Yeah,
I'm
like,
dancing.
I'm moving. I think it's just a fear, just your standard fear of like, oh, I don't want to look stupid. I don't wanna
that's
do
my thing,
this.
too, with
And then it's
dancing,
just like,
right.
no, like if you just want to move your body, then you just
Move your
do it
body, yeah.
because you want to.
Yeah.
And
I've
don't-
always been very thankful of my ability to, I have no humility at all. Like, I really don't. Like,
You're an actor.
I don't really get embarrassed easily, like, and I don't, and yeah, that I think that's a part of it is like, I spent so much of my life like
Putting
training
yourself,
and preparing to be in a place where I can look stupid in front of people and be vulnerable, and I think like some of the greatest like actors and like comedians and like people that perform in front of other people are the ones that are willing to look dumb, and so I have
Totally.
absolutely no humility when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And I love dancing, and I love looking stupid and being crazy. So like
Oh, my last question is.
Oh, damn! I'm having a great time.
I mean, there's more. There's some other ones.
Okay.
Okay. But as a musician or just
Yes.
listening to music, do you
Yes.
feel more mentally stable?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, sometimes playing music, like I said, can be a little bit like as an artist, a thing with yourself of trying to improve, or everything kind of escaping my own trappings with my inherent desires to play chords that I play all the time, and that search of finding something different is kind of a mental game too, because you're like stepping away from your habits, the things that you're more inclined to naturally do, and then instead of getting frustrated, kind of embracing it and being like, okay, since I know this, let's shift it up. So in those senses, it's good. It helps your brain grow, at least for me personally. I do have moments when it's not the healthiest and I have to step back and be like less difficult, But listening to music is as equal in part and important to creating music, because if you isolate yourself and you don't listen or proactively try and see, what makes other stuff good, or just good to listen to, like, you're not going to find inspo from anywhere, or open up your brains. Like, you got to pull from something. So listening to music is something I always am trying to do. And usually if I'm kind of feeling funky or in a depression, that's probably because I haven't been listening to music that day or been in autopilot. But playing for me is something I'm doing a lot more recently, for myself, to not practice for the skill and to actually just enjoy the sounds that are coming out of the instrument. That's when I'm having fun. That's when it's good. That's when I create stuff, is when I'm not trying.
Yeah.
I love it when I'm not recording, when I'm not writing, it's the wrong place, the wrong time that all the good, juicy stuff happens, when you're not rolling, and then you got to try and revisit that raw space, and there's something really special about that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that question. I'm not a musician.
Even when listening to music, do you feel at least better?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like, listening to music, also because I'm not a musician, and so it's one of the art forms that I can take in that I'm not analyzing, that I'm not, like, thinking about how could this have been better, like, oh, here's the technique there that's being used here. Like, I don't really know any of that. I mean, I know some, like, I can read music, and I've been in musicals, and I, like, played piano as, like, a baby, but, like, not to the extent of, like, I can listen to a piece and understand it in a technical sense. So, yeah.
I look for the stuff I don't understand.
Yeah.
I look for the stuff that I don't get. Usually that's what hooks me, is I'm like, oh, this sounds good. And then I try it, and I'm like, I can't figure out what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's good. That's like, oh, uncharted territory. That's the yummy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the yummy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Like, how did you do that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, of course, like, I have my go-to playlist, which definitely, like, helped me. But there's something different about listening to live music that does something to the brain. I don't know. It's like I'm out of control of what's being played, but it's still good.
Yeah.
So.
And there's also something more human to, like, obviously, I mean, inherently, because you're looking at the human that is doing the thing. And you also get the commentary and, like, the audience, and there's a reaction there. Like, you're a part of what's happening.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I love live music. I love it.
Me too.
I love it so much. Like, any kind, anywhere, any, like...
Well, post-pandemic, I feel like we're all, like, very appreciative now of
Yes.
in that space. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. I'm so happy to have been a part of this. And I loved having the opportunity to create this collage with you guys.
Yeah, let's
preview.
Of the guest of honor. Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Share?
So I made some of this stuff.
Yours is so cool.
With text.
Okay.
Can you make these hands
got these hands that will not touch, but the rest are there at the front. So yeah, that's kind of there's some, like, commentary text on there that I think I was subconsciously selective about.
Yours is dope.
Thank you. I had fun creating this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Show me some of the goodies you guys put together.
Mine's crazy.
Yeah.
We love it.
I think that so I didn't know where I was going with it at all. And the only thing that it kept me grounded was the colors.
Yes.
And so this one is kind of like a pink-blue color scheme. Kind of girly, kind of whatever. Also bear.
I like the bear.
I believe that the bear's name is Kodak.
Kodak
the grizzly.
I believe that that's
Except for the
name.
pancakes.
So then this is orange and green page.
Orange and green.
This one has no theme whatsoever. I guess it's kind of like an environment,
Yeah.
like a house situation. There's a little baby there. What does poison oak look like? Is the question here. And then this final one is like a purple yellow.
Oh, I like the puppy in the back.
There's a doggo. There's a kitty cat.
Looks like Mama. Looks like your cat.
I tricked you.
No.
Let's be correct. That's an E-Y-E. Tricked you.
E-Y-E. I tricked you.
I did trick me.
Yeah. So that's what.
It's a beautiful collage, Cam.
Thank you. What you got, Taja?
Yeah, show us the goods.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Hands
I
up,
got
I'm ready for
my
this.
original
I love
Superman with the racism.
FDA against
Okay.
racism. Let's go.
Some books in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Some lines. Kind of look like roads.
I like your
open it up,
squigglies.
you know?
Ooh,
Design makes us human. Just a little crispy.
powerful.
Some clouds.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I wrote
like
dream big, but it's very small.
I like
Oh.
the brain is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I like the mileage.
And then we just have on the back of just Robin with the toilet.
Whoa, Robin is looking comfy.
I know. I'm like, oh, look at those leg muscles. Anyways, we won't get into it.
the way they draw comic book characters. You guys.
You do like the torso of one of the babies, but to the legs of
Yeah.
Robin.
And you're like, whoa,
Super
You're
baby.
like, super.
That's
That's
awesome.
dope. I love how fully yours
Yeah.
looks. Like, there's you touched every piece of, like, all of them.
Yours is all like canoodled up with each other. It
Yeah.
kind of seems like it's from one space.
Yeah.
Like one petting zoo of the same cuttings.
I like that.
That's awesome.
And then finally, as we like to do, we're just gonna shout out a couple of things that are happening in the area. I just wanted to mention some art exhibits that are going on in the area. So in Winston-Salem at Sika, a new exhibit just opened called Southern Idiom by the artist named Jason Pitt, and it is described to be an audio-visual project. So I don't actually know what that is, but check that out. That sounds interesting. We should go
Very
to that.
cool.
So that's running through, or that will be there through October 23rd.
Okay.
And then in Greensboro Project Space, there is this confused me big time. It's called Coming Soon, ? And so when I was on the website, I was like, oh wait, so something's coming soon?
You're waiting for the info page and
It's
it's
literally,
No.
the exhibit
Okay.
is called Coming Soon.
Yeah.
self-aware, I like it.
Coming Soon, ? A socially engaged art project that uses techniques in speculative design and science fiction to creatively democratize visions for the future. And this is a collaborative piece. So the artists' names are Adam Carlin, Derek Toombs, Irvin Maldonado, and Trey Vanterpool. And then in High Point, at the High Point Museum, they have a display of quilts currently called Domestic Art. And also October 8th, there is a fall festival happening in Winston-Salem at Binky Cafe. And that's happening in partnership with Iconography, Binky Cafe, and Vanity Beauty. So that's going to be vendors. It's like a Halloween-inspired event, so costumes are encouraged. And so those are just a few things I wanted to shout out. There's more information about all of those events on our social media page, and also lots of other events that are coming up. So check out our social media. And as always, if you have an event, if you know of something that's happening around town, if it's like a weekly thing that happens, like an arts event specifically, so like music, some kind of exhibit, anything like that, please let us know and we'll add it to our list of things happening in the area because we're really trying to create like one comprehensive list of things happening. We have Greensboro and Winston specifically at the moment. I'm working on adding High Point into that and potentially Kernersville. And we just want to say thank you again to Gabi for coming and being on the podcast.
Thank you.
It was
I
an
had so much
absolute
fun.
delight.
It's so much fun. Thank you.
Is there anything that you want to, I don't know, plug, share, do, say?
No, just again, thank you guys for having me, and
Of course.
if you ever need a jazz intro or some copyright-free music for your podcast, you let me know.
Copyright free music.
No, but honestly though, yeah, of course I'd love to be a part of this again. Don't keep me posted. This is awesome.
And thank you for listening.